Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve A. Williams, president and founder of IncredibleCareStuff.com. Please forgive me my voice. I got a little bit of a nasal infection, not COVID. We had to go for my wife to go to the doctor for her checkup, and she was negative, and I was negative. So yeah, I got it from my grandson, the 1 year old. You know how 1 year olds just have colds off and on. This video, I'm actually moving. Had to have another video set for today, but today we're going to have two because this is something that I just saw where they did not extend the eviction uh, moratorium, and I foresee that it's going to be uh, like a tidal wave of people getting kicked out of their either house, apartment, wherever. Uh, I'm not going to get too much into the back and forth on that. Some people feel that people were taking advantage of the situation. I have friends that own multiple properties and they haven't received rent for more than a year, and have others where people tried to pay, they just weren't able to pay all of it, and when people are saying, well, hey, you've got extra money on top of what you had got for unemployment, and you should have been able to pay it. So we're gonna leave that alone right now, and we're just gonna talk about solutions because when people come to us, the credit repair shop, and they have eviction issues, regardless if it's on your credit report or not, you are not out of the woods uh, when it comes to dealing with an eviction because all landlords. I'm a former residential landlord, and I have other uh, associates that are also in the residential real estate, and they barely ever look at the credit report. We've always looked at the public records, and the one thing that uh, almost all the real estate investors that I know, landlords, not mortgage, but management companies, what they're going to look at is number one, if you have evictions, and number two, are they resolved? And that's what this video is going to be about, resolving. When we have customers that come in and they say, hey, I can't rent nowhere because I got this eviction on there. First thing that we do is we tell them that there's gonna have to be some type of arrangement made to resolve that eviction, or you're not gonna be able to move forward. Like it's not no try to do some kind of trick or gimmick or strategy or whatever you want to call it to get that item removed off your credit, and it's gonna all of a sudden make magic happen and you're gonna get an apartment. It's not going to work that way. They're gonna look at your public records. Uh, Here's a good example that I've used, that I've talked about, that personally happened to me when my daughter was going to performing arts school. We wanted to have her a nice, safe place to stay. This She was 17 years old, first time away from home, living away from home. She's going to live there on campus, and she's going to stay in that city, and she's going to live off campus. And, we wanted to get her a nice place. We had looked at a lot of places, and they just was like didn't feel too good about the safety. And then there was another one that we saw, and she only needed to stay there for 1 year. The 1 year training, it was going to be $1,500 a month. And we said, okay, that's fine. She likes this. We like that it's gated, all of that. And we was like, okay, we're just going to pay it all up front. No worries. You don't have to worry about rent being late, nothing. They said, we don't care that you're going to pay it up front. We want to look at number one, your credit history, and then number two, they did a background check. And that background check was going to be on public records. That's what they cared about. Those two also and the money. And so uh, having things resolved on your public records. If you have, lawsuits and judgment that you maybe had lost, they got to be resolved. It doesn't matter for the amount. They don't care about that. All they want to see is that it is paid and closed. You could have done any type of settlement. They don't care about that. So if we didn't have our, not only our credit, but public records taken care of, they, we wouldn't have been able to get that place for our daughter. And you might be saying, well, what they're going to do a LexisNexis check. No, they're not going to look on LexisNexis. They're going to go to places like CCAP or the court record. Every court system in the United States, every city has, or every state has their own court system where you can type in, go there, and get information, public record information on individuals. You can't use it against them, like you can't use it illegally against them, but you can utilize that to make decisions on them, like if you're looking at written to them. So we always talk to our customers and we tell them, hey, we're gonna have to get this resolved. So if you got, you got this eviction, maybe over a couple of $1,000s, us as a third party going in between, because there's gonna be a lot of emotion with the landlord and the ex-tenant that goes to talking, or the management company talking, is nothing going to be resolved but a shot in match. That's what it's going to end up. But you bring a third party in. Let me tell you why it's important when you bring a third party to negotiate this. Is number one, if think about it, if you're arguing with somebody and you're that person you got evicted and you're arguing with the former landlord, that landlord is going to most likely be like, you got to pay me all of it, because they're not going to, they're going to be like, you just said this about me, that lied. Everybody think everybody's lying on each other or whatever reason. And they're going to be like, I'm not discounting nothing. I'd rather not ever get paid. I'd rather just hurt you. So that's why people come to companies like ours, the credit repair shop, because what we do is we stand in the middle of people, push people back, and we go to, sit down with the client and say, what do you have that we can offer to the landlord? And I'm not going to get into how that conversation goes, because there's a strategy on based off of what they have and how we approach the landlord. But I want you to look at the side of the landlord. The landlord is only going, or is more likely to take a settlement, to take a discounted settlement to resolve everything for less than what they are owed, to save face. This is what they call save face. When people say save face, that means that I'm going to do this for you, but I want this. So for them to save face, you need to have a third party in between, and that way, when they make the agreement, they don't even have to see you. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to do nothing. It's just, okay, you got this. We got this agreement. You put it together, sign, boom, you get the money, boom, you get the certificate that it's resolved, boom, you take it over to the courthouse, they record it. Everything is good. When someone looks on your public records, it's resolved. And then you can talk to them about what had happened. But it's always good if you're coming from a position of explaining what happened on a on a on an eviction. When it's resolved, that's totally different than trying to explain an eviction when it's not resolved. Because they done heard all those stories before. They done heard they didn't fix nothing, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. They Every landlord, we've all heard all of that, so we don't even really care to hear that. But when you see that something is resolved, then you'll be like, okay, okay, maybe tell me what happened. But really, if it's resolved, they're gonna say, in their own mind, as a real estate investor or management company or landlord that has property, they're going to say, well, they did resolve it. Maybe there was some type of dispute, and the landlord thought that they were also at fault, and they just came together got everything resolved. It's not showing that they owe them anything. That's going to put a person in the best position when it comes to dealing with eviction. So, looking at what has happened today, the Congress fell short of being able to maintain the waiver on a moratorium on eviction. So there's going to be a flood, like a huge amount. We're talking about estimates like 14 to 16 million people will be evicted starting at the beginning of either next month or the beginning of September. So it's going to be like a flood. And if you find yourself in that situation, this is the information I just gave you is the way that you should resolve it, either with a company like mine or you can seek out someone in your area that could be like a mediator, but don't get a mediator. That would be crazy. Get someone that is good at debt resolving debt disputes between individuals and get it resolved because you're gonna have to be able to move forward. If you can't keep a stable roof over you and your family, it's going to make it very tough for you to move forward on a day-to-day basis because you're going to have an internal level of discomfort. And it, there's the old saying: you need the food, clothing, shelter, transportation. You got to have that. Like those are the basic necessities. Uh, for you to be able to at least have a foundation so you can grow from there for you and your family. So I want to invite you, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. If you need your reports and scores, please go to your3scores.com. If you need the debt validation letter, cease and desist collection activities letter, statute of limitations letter, those letters are below here. They're all free. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.